So imagine a single prayer powerful enough to wipe away all the sorrow of history. And I don't just mean for people, but for God himself. Today, we're diving into a really ambitious declaration made by Reverend Sun Myung Moon back on May 1st, 1975. The claim here is huge, that this prayer reshapes the entire spiritual cosmos. Let's get into what that actually means. Right off the bat, the prayer opens with this incredibly bold claim. This isn't just about changing things on Earth. It's about a direct intervention into the afterlife itself, the power to liberate hell. A statement like that just raises the stakes through the roof, right? So let's unpack the logic behind it. To make sense of all this, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. First, we'll look at the big problem it's trying to solve, this idea of cosmic resentment. Then we'll see who the appointed solution is, why the date was so important, just how huge the scope of this declaration was, and finally, what new era it supposedly kicked off. Okay, so what's the core issue this prayer is tackling? Well, it all boils down to one single profound concept: resentment. And we're not just talking about being mad at someone. According to this text, it's a deep historical sorrow that affects literally everyone and everything, even God. The prayer uses the word resentment, or the Korean term han, but it's way bigger than a personal grudge. Think of it more like a cosmic condition, a kind of inherited grief that's been passed down through generations, all because of these major historical moments where God's will supposedly didn't get done. So where did all this cosmic sorrow come from? Well, the prayer points to a few key historical events. It all starts with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. That's seen as the original source of God's grief. Then that sorrow got even deeper with the crucifixion of Jesus and the suffering of countless saints and religious figures who died before their work was finished. Okay, so after laying out this massive, cosmic-sized problem, the prayer introduces its solution. It says that specific people have been appointed to finally deal with this historical pileup of sorrow. So let's see who they are. These individuals are called the true parents. Now, according to the text, this is the title and the position that God established for Reverend Moon and his wife. Their whole job, their mission, was to finally do what past figures couldn't: completely resolve all of this cosmic resentment. You can really feel the personal sense of mission in this quote. The prayer is written in the first person. You know, the author is speaking directly to God, pledging to take on his sorrowful heart and forge a totally new path of loyalty to replace that long history of betrayal. Now, the timing of this whole declaration is presented as anything but random. The prayer makes a case that May 1st, 1975 was this incredibly crucial moment where all these different historical and spiritual timelines came together, making it the one divinely appointed day for this to happen. The text is so specific about the timing. 8:50 a.m. on May 1st, 1975. It really hammers home this point that the exact moment wasn't arbitrary at all, but was something God had been preparing for over the long course of history. So why this day? What's so special about it? Well, according to the text, it's where 3 key cycles all lined up perfectly. It marks 21 years of the Unification movement, it completes a second major 7-year spiritual period, and it's the culmination of 30 years of Reverend Moon's own ministry. It's like all these timelines were destined to intersect on this one single day. All right, now we're getting to the absolute heart of the prayer, the declaration itself. And this isn't just someone asking for forgiveness. It's a proclamation, a declaration of total forgiveness and liberation for everyone and everything, across all of time. So the main event here is exactly what the title says: the total dissolution of resentment. The speaker, claiming to have this unique authority, is declaring that in this moment, all the historical sorrow of God, of the angels, of humanity is officially over, done. And you might be wondering, who exactly gets included in this? Well, according to the text, absolutely everyone. Liberation is declared for God himself, for the angelic world, for every religion, for all good and conscientious people. But here's the kicker. It also includes what the prayer calls the Cain world, the world of historical enemies. So the prayer basically splits history into 2 sides. You've got the Abel world, which represents the side of good, saints, philosophers, loyal subjects. And then you have the Cain world, representing the opposition. We're talking figures like Judas, Emperor Nero, and even modern opponents like the Communist Party. The most amazing claim here is that both sides are now being forgiven and liberated at the same time. And they don't beat around the bush on this theme of total forgiveness. It's right there in the text. The prayer asks for the power to love enemies and let go of the resentment held even against those who crucified Jesus. This ultimate act of forgiveness is framed as the key that's needed to finally open the gates of hell and set everyone free. So, if all this cosmic resentment is just dissolved, what happens next? Well, the final part of the prayer explains the consequences, basically proclaiming the start of a completely new chapter for history and the spiritual world. And the results that are proclaimed are just monumental. Number 1, all historical resentment is gone. 2, Jesus himself is liberated from the sorrow of his death. 3, the path is now officially open to liberate hell. And 4, all of this creates a totally new turning point for the future of humanity. And this wasn't all just happening in a spiritual vacuum. A huge real-world event that had just happened gets woven right into this cosmic ceremony, the fall of South Vietnam to communism. The prayer reframes this event not as a defeat, but as a symbolic offering from the other side. This then becomes the starting point to re-indemnify or pay a condition to restore and ultimately win back the communist world for God's side. To really drive home how big a deal this moment is, the text declares that a massive cosmic audience is watching. It says that God, the entire spirit world, all religions, good nations, and even the communist world, they are all paying full attention to this declaration being made in Korea. It's like the whole universe was invited to witness it. And this all leads to the final crucial claim. The authority for this whole cosmic reset is declared to come from 2 sources, acting as one. The prayer is finalized not just in God's name, but also in the name of true parents, basically uniting their authority. So, this leaves us with a pretty profound question to think about. This prayer doesn't just ask for forgiveness, it declares it as a done deal, a cosmic fact, for everyone, friend and foe. So we're left to wonder, what does it actually mean for a person to claim the authority to declare forgiveness, not just for all of humanity, but even on behalf of God?